Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is the July 13th, 2020 meeting of the Landmarks Commission. I will start by taking roll. Susan? Alderman Steuer? Justin?
Yeah, here.
Ron?
Present.
Ian?
Yes. Yep.
And David?
Present.
Okay, everybody's here tonight. Second item on the agenda is item C, that's the approval of tonight's agenda. A lot of stuff on that. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote for the approval of tonight's agenda. Alderman Steuer? I couldn't hear you, Mark. You're on mute.
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Susan? I think that was an aye. And Justin?
Yay!
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 20th, 2020 meeting of the Landmarks Commission. The meeting minutes are in your packet. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Any further discussion? And then we'll go for another roll call vote. Alderman Steuer? I didn't hear you, Mark. You're on mute.
Aye. Sorry.
Ron?
Mute. Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Susan?
He's muted.
Got it. All right. Different mute button. I'm abstaining from voting as I was not present at the meeting.
Okay. And Justin?
Yeah, I guess that goes double for me.
Okay, motion carries with 2 abstentions. Item E, regular business for tonight's meeting. E1 is Certificate of Appropriateness 20-12, consideration with possible action on a design review for a new garage siding located at 1019-1021 South Quincy Street. Jason Flatt, would you like to walk us through staff's notes on this?
Sure. The short version is that there's a garage. It's pretty well hidden. It's not original, and they want to put new siding on it.
What type of siding are they putting on, Jason? Right.
This is where I have to punt. Stephanie, I don't think they ever told us what they were putting on there, except I seem to think it was vinyl siding. Is that correct?
Okay.
I
That would be
believe,
my guess. Yeah,
sorry, she was actually looking for any recommendations. She is on the call. I will unmute Sue if you want to speak to that.
Hi, thank you, Stephanie. At this point, I will probably be using vinyl siding, possibly an engineered wood.
The garage is currently not really visible from the street. It's tucked away pretty good behind the house. I don't have any personal concerns with this. Any other discussion from anybody?
I don't have any concerns either.
I don't either. No objection. I would like to say, Sue, your worst consideration is Jay's trees growing back there over your garage. That, you might want to send him a certified letter and have him get that tree trimmed. My goodness. But other than that, I have no objection to the project.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, just as a side note, I agree, those branches are kind of wearing away at the shingles on that garage. They'll shorten the life of the roof.
Yeah,
As a side note.
I'll speak with Jay. We've had discussions in the past on some trimming back there.
Short of anything else, I would make a motion to approve this item.
I'd second that motion.
Any other discussion? Stephanie, how are we voting on these items? I don't remember.
Voice preferably, or roll call, whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, there's no other discussion. We'll run through the roll. Alderman Steuer?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
And Justin?
Yay.
And I also vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Certificate of Appropriateness 20-13, consideration with possible action on a design review for a front porch replacement located at 637 South Madison Street. There is a report by staff. Jason, would you like to walk us through this?
Happy to. In the PDF agenda packet, for me anyway, on the 18th of 113 pages, I have a picture of a house from 2019. Being colorblind, I'd love to tell you what it is. If it's beige or green, I don't know. But there's a double-decker front porch on it. On the next page, page 19, the house is white. This is from 2015. And then page 20, we have a map view. Page 21 is a picture of the porch ceiling / roof structure as it exists. Same with 22. 23 is another view of the porch. On my PDF packet, page 24, you see a sketch of what they're proposing to do. And some of the major changes you'll see is that the upper section of balusters is getting pulled back to just be in way of the door. So there won't be a full width second story porch, so to speak. On page 25, there's an end view. And for reference on page 27, sheet 27, you'll see a picture of the neighbor's house. And the house in question today is the one on the left side of that photograph. And then on sheet 28, again, a picture of the neighbor's house. The two houses were built as near twins of one another, I suppose you could say, but not exactly. Staff recommendation is to approve, but staff figured you all might want to talk about the specifics of what they're proposing.
The applicant is also on the call if you have any questions for her.
This is David. I have a question for you, Jason. Can you confirm that that is not an original porch?
I can confirm that no portion of that porch is original. I can't confirm that the original design was or wasn't something similar. My hunch is it was not a double-decker originally, but it has been for a long time.
Is the intent to take this all the way back down to the grade and then rebuild it?
Olga, I just unmuted you if you wanted to contribute to this conversation at all.
Oh, okay. Hi, from Arizona. So I'm just listening to the conversation, and I guess it's in the house is in question as to originality. And according to the information that was historically logged in 1986, the house is really just kind of like it's like a vernacular house. I mean, it's not really a Victorian house. It's not really assessed at anything. It was just kind of like a, just a house that they put up. It originally, I think, had siding, what is that called, like wooden siding, but they don't have that anymore on there. And there's aluminum siding on there right now. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so, so the structure and the structure of the house itself, when it was first analyzed and assessed, the front porch was very poor, and it was literally falling off. So for safety reasons, it had to come off. But a lot of the original house, I think, underneath, both of those houses were wood. And I'm putting up wooden cedar poles, basically wood, so it looks, nice. I'm not sure what. Can you hear me?
Yes. Is everything that's currently being taken off and then this rebuilt, or is it being
Yeah, it had to come off.
constructed from what's there?
Yeah, everything came off up to the joist that was actually on the front face, on the bottom and the top. And, like the micro beam that goes across that holds the porches, those had to be put back on with new ones to support the weight. And then the joists and everything like that to support the weight of the porch. The porches on 637 and 639 are not really porches like you go out and have coffee and donuts on. The neighbor has a door on their porch, and so do I. And for safety reasons, you have to be able to escape out of the door if it's open. In case there's a fire or something. So I think per code, I have to have something there because that door is accessible from the inside.
I guess the questions that I have are, the home adjacent to the property has tapered columns and a more decorative, rather than this regular 4x4 post. Should the requested property have a design more similar to the adjacent home? I can't tell from if that's what's planned or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't quite get a feel from the drawing as to what's going to happen with the railings and, spindles and everything, what it's going to look like, what you're planning,
Right.
what you're going to use.
yeah, there's going to be a railing and there's going to be spindles on there. Neither one of those porches were original to the houses, according to the historic, database that UW-Madison did.
So the porch on the greenhouse was never part of the original design?
Right. So, and there's no definition. They think that maybe there might have been gables on it, but they're not sure. They just don't have enough history. I tried to look up some pictures in the historic area of Green Bay and the historic area of Astor, Arkansas, but there really isn't anything. I do have some pictures from the original family that owned it, and I have pictures from the outside, and it actually looked even worse than what's on there now.
Are you gonna be using like 2x2? Or
It's a
What is
6
it
by
gonna
6
look
feet of
like?
post. Well, the wood is cedar. It's a cedar wood, which is native to Wisconsin. Oh, is that on the? Hello? Hello?
No,
Yep,
Okay.
can hear.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Jason, what are your thoughts on, when were these porches put on? I mean, are they within the period of significance for the home or not?
I'm
All of
sorry,
the
I
ma-
had to, can you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
All of the material on the porch currently present at 637 is not historic and probably not within the period of significance. My hunch is that it would have had a full-width, one-story porch at one time, but it became a two-story porch, if you will. My feeling on this is that it's an opportunity to do better than 4x4 posts.
Right.
I would presume that everything will be painted. It's not historically appropriate to leave it as stained or just a natural weathered wood look. But what we have before us is a proposal that is no worse than what is currently there. Now, that may not be a ringing endorsement for it, but it's not doing any harm. So as much as I'd like to say we could do better, I can't recommend to you to withhold anything based on what I'm looking at currently there and what they're proposing.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't look any better than what's existing, it's gonna be all new material and it's gonna be there for the next 20 or 30 years. So whatever decisions are made now are gonna be there, I would imagine, for at least that amount of time. I just think that the house adjacent to it, and I realize that that's not the subject property, that feels more like a solution than the section that I'm seeing. It's very hard because all we're looking at is one section and there's no front elevation of what this might look like or anything.
You may want to consider requesting some proper porch columns rather than 4x4 posts.
Right.
I would like to add
Yeah,
though,
there's not,
go ahead.
those posts, when I had the house assessed with the, just the structure of the porch and stuff like that, when they looked at it, they said that the 4x4 posts are not sufficient to hold up the weight for the, the bottom and the top. They weren't even, they weren't even in a footing. I just sent a picture in so you could see. I don't know if you guys were able to zoom in at the bottom. They're crooked. They weren't even positioned in the ground or set in any kind of footing. They were just set on top of a stone. So, I'm putting 6x6 cedar post up. That is much more, this is one of the strongest woods that you can actually work with. Plus, I'm going to get some wood also with the Menominee tribe to use also, which is from the area, with the history of, Green Bay and everything that it, signifies.
Are you planning on painting the wood?
I am going to stain the wood so that it increases its longevity. But see, like all the houses, according to what I read in the 1986 report that was done by the university, a lot of that had wood siding, so a lot of it was all wood. And they just covered it up. I mean, it's been covered up. There were layers upon layers of dry rot. And just, I mean, you guys could see the pictures of the damage that was, there was just so much dry rot and everything. It just wasn't safe anymore.
Well,
And
you're
honestly,
correct.
Uh-huh.
You're correct that most of the residences in the area originally had wood siding, but almost all of them were painted or stained a colored stain. There's relatively little in the district that has a unstained wood finish to it.
There's a lot, I mean, just on South Madison Street, there's plenty of different porches that have wood on it. I mean, they just have wood. I think it's just different pertaining to each house. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know if 639 has 4x4 posts underneath the fake, facade around the post. They might have 4x4 posts under there. I'm not sure.
This is David. I've got a question that would be for Jason and Stephanie regarding the ordinance and this commission's authority. We're talking about a porch that obviously needs to be replaced, but it's not historical. And my question is, do we have the authority to require them to produce something that aesthetically is more pleasing than is there right now? As Jason said, what's proposed is bringing it right back to what is there right now aesthetically, but structurally is sound. So again, my question is, do we have the authority to require them to improve on the aesthetics?
Yes, so our code is written to reflect the Secretary of the Interior standards, with the leeway of you guys to make conditions as you see fit. So, just because the existing porch is not historic doesn't mean that you don't have aesthetic things that could be added as conditions of approval. Just because elements of a home or a property are not historic anymore because they've been replaced doesn't mean that our commission needs to allow any diminishing or same quality. That being said, I think that it is most realistic that we add design details that are easy to adjust to versus trying to recreate a historic deck or porch. I think that it's more realistic that we have just the key features be represented than trying to ask somebody to do a full recreation, because that's not very historically appropriate either.
I would also like to add that we must have some sort of obligation for safety. And it looks like somebody's about to get hurt on this porch pretty soon if we don't act in some way.
Yes, this came in actually through our building department, so this needs to get redone.
Just to elaborate a bit too, the state's preservation architect has been very adamant that staining of exterior materials is not historically appropriate. It should be painted. And I guess if you're asking for an opinion, I would say that a 6x6 post is not the same as a porch column. Although it has load-bearing properties, it's not an architectural column. There's some architecture involved in a column.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. I don't think there's sufficient information here for us to make a recommendation. I don't doubt that that porch needs to come down, or what needs to go back needs to be appropriate, and we need to be able to see what that actually is before we approve it, and I don't think there's enough information here.
Am I supposed to respond to that? I'm not sure if you're asking me a question.
You're available if they have any questions regarding the design, but I don't think that was directed towards you, Olga.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Do we have any more questions for the applicant, or shall I mute her again? Okay, Olga, do you have any questions for the board before I mute you?
Yeah, I just want to see that, according to, what I've read, online with the bylaws and all that kind of stuff for the commission, and the 1986 documentation that was done by many, different architects and stuff, and, what they want to do to preserve the Astor neighborhood and stuff. I don't feel that I am diminishing. I feel like I am adding and making it better than it was. I mean, it was so unsafe. And right now, I don't even have a railing on it. And the post office, people are going up and down the steps, and I don't really want them to do that. I think for safety reasons, I'm doing the right thing, and I think that everybody could agree to that. I mean, at least from my perception, I think that what needed to be done. I don't think I'm taking away or adding anything different. I'm pretty much proposing what was there. I'm going to basically put back up, but better.
Safety-wise, but not aesthetically.
I mean,
Aesthetically, I don't have, basically, if you're talking about what do the porches look like prior to the neighbor, the neighbor and the house next to, the one that I own, looking somewhat similar. I did see some older pictures from the family that I bought the house from the granddaughter, and she actually sent me some pictures that I, looked at. It was just, what I'm going to do is going to be, just better looking, better than what was there, and safer.
I'd like to ask Olga, how difficult would it be to put a post rather than column?
There is a post there, and I believe that...
Or a column, I'm sorry. I'm talking about a column. How difficult would that be for that? It sounds like there's a little bit of tenor toward that on the committee, that they'd like to see aesthetically maybe a little different look.
Well, I think that, I don't think that the house next door, let me look at the pictures here. The house next door doesn't have, they have actually columns that were made and covered, they covered them with a facade. So they're not true columns. They're, this is a, it's a 6x6 post that would look pretty much identical to that unless I built it up. But, there's no need to do that with the 6x6 post on it. I wasn't going to do it 8x8, but that would have made it too big.
Well, I don't know. I think if there was a way to do it, I'd like to see something like that, but, safety first too, as well.
And the neighboring house, indeed, it's got what I call a battered column, kind of an arts and crafts look to it. There may be a solid 4x4 or 6x6 core to it, but those battered fascia boards, if you will, that adds the architecture to it. I suppose it is absent in the currently proposed plan.
what is the proposed roof of this?
Well, the roof was actually, it was like falling apart. It was leaking, and I honestly, it got tore up in pieces. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were different layers to the roof. So to be quite honest with you, it was like a rubber, like some kind of a rubber-looking roof with wood and tin, and it was just different variables. If you look across the street, they have basically what looks like a rubber roof, but see, nobody goes out on the porch there. It's just not, you can't hang out up there. That's why I just needed to make it safe and have a way to exit in case there was a fire.
No, understood. I'm asking what the proposed roof is, because it doesn't tell me on this.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's going to be a tin colored roof right there, so that the snow can fall off of it and the rain can run off of it. and the pitch on it is not severe. It is actually the same pitch with, I think, slightly about like 1.5 inches more, because it was flat. And you can see, because there was so much snow that was sitting on top of there. And I think that was because of the amount of layers. I mean, it was like on correction upon correction on that whole porch.
I don't believe there's sufficient information here for us to make a recommendation on this. I'm not comfortable with it.
For the non-historical home.
Correct.
Right. So I'm not sure what you're basing it off of. I mean, I guess I did do the reading. I did try to, look at information pertaining to the house, and, I don't know. I mean, I didn't ask my neighbor because they had just recently moved into their house too. I'm just trying to make it safe, and I know it's not registered historically. It is in a district. And I'm just trying to put something safe there and better structurally there.
Understood.
This is David. I actually am fairly comfortable with what's being presented. For me, what's compelling is that the plan is returning it exactly to what it is. I would encourage the homeowner to consider, because that's what this commission is concerned about. The safety issue is absolutely a given. So I'm reading what I'm hearing from the other commissioners and my own thoughts. We would like to see improvement in the aesthetics, but if the plan is to return it to what it is right now, appearance-wise, I am comfortable approving.
Yeah, aesthetically, it's going to look much better. I mean, it's going to look newer. I didn't want it to, so that it was significantly different than what it was. The only thing that's really going to change is that the upper roof is going to have a smaller deck on it, because I don't feel that it's necessary to have a complete porch up there when it's not really even a porch. I mean, I don't even know why they had that up there, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I don't think that's the issue that's of concern here. It's the post, the major post column issue. The example that was provided, the neighbor's house, much more pleasing column appearance versus bare wood, whether it's stained or painted. And I think that's what we are encouraging you to consider, is to create something more aesthetically pleasing with the major posts, the columns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we keep asking about material, what it's going to look like. We're concerned about the aesthetics. And it's been pointed out, this is an opportunity to improve the appearance of the house and have it look a little more true to the house.
Right. Well, I mean, the when I bought the house, there was a 4x4 post on there. That's what was on there. And I don't know what was on there before. I'm aesthetically making it, better and safer, and that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it is not going to look anything like what it originally looked at, because it was so poor and it was dry rotting and it was, falling off, and it was so unsafe. I just want to build a porch, enjoy my house, and yes, it will be aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I mean, it's a nice little house. I don't know what else to say. I'm not sure. I think the perception from different point of views is there, but I mean, I'm trying to do what I can financially, and with everything going on right now, I can only do what I can right now. That doesn't mean it's going to look ugly. I mean, I would like it is going to look aesthetically pleasing. I don't think I'm not arguing that it's not going to.
Well, I'd like to see a column too. I think that a 6x6 post and just the general improvement of, straightening the thing out is, I would be on board with that as long as it, as long as the posts, it would be nice if the posts were painted, I would think, to match the house, but.
We have two main objections, I think. Well, I think it's commendable that the homeowner is going to rebuild the porch, and that's obviously got to be done. The idea that this wood is not going to be painted, to me, is a big problem I have. There just isn't natural wood porches as original to the district. The other thing that I have a severe problem with is the idea that there's going to be a metal roof put on this new porch. That's not in character to the house itself. The house currently has asphalt shingles. And at a minimum, I think that the porch roof should match that if it's going to have that slope that would be visible from the street. So those are the issues that I have.
Well, but see, the thing is that they're underneath all of the layers. I mean, we're talking, there were layers on that roof. That's why I added that there were layers on the roof of different types of, material. So, I honestly, I don't know how many layers the neighbor has. I'm not really, I didn't ask them, but I'm trying to make it so that the runoff and the pitch and the snow goes off of the roof instead of just sitting against the house and creating more damage to the house and to the roof and to the deck.
I mean, I agree with David, and I concur with the applicant, and I think that the safety is the #1 issue here, and they're not going backwards. I mean, I have no objections to this plan.
Thank you.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you again, Olga, so the commissioners can discuss this and do their motions, okay?
Thanks for your input.
Paul, this is David. I'll make a recommendation that this is approved with the recommended homeowner that the posts are painted or a better decoration is provided than just the bare wood, similar to the example at the adjacent home.
I'll second that motion.
If you have instead of a recommendation to paint it, make it a requirement to paint it instead of staining it.
Any other discussion on the motion?
I'd like to see it required as well.
David, are you willing to amend your original motion?
Affirmative, definitely. I'm willing to amend it to that.
I would second that. I would second that.
Jason, go ahead.
Does that painting requirement extend to the handrails and the balusters as well?
Yes. That's what I'd like to see.
I would say yes.
Yes, I looked at 639 Madison, the adjacent home, and it's all painted, and it looks really good.
A lot better.
So your would be conditioned on painted posts, railings.
Correct.
I'll second that.
And the steps too, I presume?
Jason, are there any other parts of the porch that you're finding?
So paint everything, paint the whole thing is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I would say there should be no unpainted, or it should all be painted, a painted finish on everything.
So paint all new wood. Or replacement of wood, maybe she'd use old wood. But,
So do we want to reread the motion?
I have a motion from David, seconded by Ron, for approval conditioned on painting of all posts, railings, balusters, and steps, or a similar covering on the posts, similar to the adjacent home.
That's perfect.
Any other discussion on this motion?
No.
Hearing none, I'd call for a roll call vote. Ron?
Yes.
I vote nay. David?
Yes.
Ian?
No.
Susan?
No.
Alderman Steuer?
Yes.
Justin?
Yay. Did you get that? That's a yay, yes.
Yes, that is saved as passed then. Motion passes.
Okay.
Paul, I got to say something. I have a huge 5:30 meeting coming up. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I'm chairing the Protection and Policy Committee. I'm going to have to leave in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I apologize for that, but I'd rather have somebody else sit in front of me on that, but it is what it is.
Well, let's push on. Let's see if we can get through these next 4 items in 15 minutes.
Now, I need to get on board about 5:25 at the.
Challenge accepted.
Oh.
Next item is item E3, Certificate of Appropriateness 20-14, consideration with possible action on a design review for siding at 127 North Broadway. Jason?
So I have a recommendation to deny. This is more of a request for help. And the property owner has been told that what would help is to put up vinyl siding. I don't know that that's really the right thing to do. If we look in the packet on sheet 32, you see the back of the building. It's brick, it's painted white. And again on sheet 34 and sheet 35. So the area in question is a second-story side of the building. It's painted white. And when the wind blows and the rain rains from a particular direction, there is moisture intrusion. So the request is to put up basically an exterior vinyl siding to protect the wall. My concern is that that's going to perhaps hide a problem rather than solve a problem. And based on the pictures, you can see the bricks have been spalling. All those areas where there is no paint on the brick, that's indicative of moisture having gotten into the wall and the freeze-thaw cycle such that it is this moisture can't escape through the paint. So it sits behind the paint, it freezes, and it basically causes the brick face to explode as the moisture freezes up. When I zoom in on these pictures, say the one on sheet 35, it appears to me that they keep painting anything that spalls. Based on my colorblind eyes, I see more than one shade of white here. So the property owner has been told that it would work to just cover it up with vinyl clapboard siding. I don't know, maybe that would keep the moisture intrusion from occurring, but again, I really don't know. I was hoping that in talking to the Landmarks Commission tonight, that perhaps I could persuade 1 or 2 members to go take a look and offer some opinion as to where the moisture intrusion might be from. A more appropriate solution to the real problem would be rather than covering up the problem.
Is this time sensitive? Time sensitive, Jason?
Stephanie,
It is leaking, so there's moisture on the interior. I should put on the record, this is my neighbor. This is my immediate neighbor. And he cannot make the meeting today. but wanted basically to get feedback on what solutions would be. So if that means that we have to do a site visit to actually figure out what the problem is, you know, he said it doesn't need to be a vinyl cover. It can be a different sort of cover from the exterior, but if it's an interior problem, you know, obviously a different solution is going to have to be met. But there is moisture on the interior of this apartment, so the faster we can come to solution, the better.
I would agree with what Jason said. I don't think putting vinyl siding on is going to stop your issue. You've got water coming in from the top somewhere. I think that's where I would look first, and vinyl siding is not the correct answer here. That's just a temporary barricade.
Yep, I agree 100%.
I'd expand
I
upon
also
that.
agree. I also agree 100%.
Yeah, I'd expand upon that. It actually would hide the continuing deterioration. And as it gets structurally worse, it wouldn't be observable. So I think this is a bad idea.
So the property owner has convinced himself that the roof is not the problem. I have not been there to inspect it, but the property owner has given me the name and number of the tenant and has invited anybody to show up after calling this person to take a look at it. I don't know if anybody's available to do. I guess I normally would be, but I don't know that I'd find the problem. And then with the whole cancer COVID thing, I kind of figured, no, I'm not going to do that. So would anybody be willing to go take a look?
Would they be better off having some contract mason or somebody else taking a look at that, trying to figure out where this water intrusion is the source?
The answer to that is yes. Unfortunately, they've talked to a person, and that person says that the right thing to do is to put vinyl siding on it. And coincidentally, that person does vinyl siding. So you're in luck.
I was going to guess it was a siding contractor who told them that maybe they should get a second opinion on this.
I'd be happy to take a look, but my layman's opinion would probably be pretty relatively useless. But I live a couple blocks. I'd be happy to look at it.
They're looking for a second opinion.
I'd feel better about a contractor looking at it instead of any of us taking on the liability and saying what the source of the problem is.
That's a good point.
That sounds very reasonable.
Would that be the motion?
Well, you can either deny this application as it stands, or you can hold with the condition of requiring a second opinion from a licensed contractor.
Right. And not a siding contractor, like a mason, or maybe a roofing contractor, or somebody besides a vinyl siding contractor.
I think you need a mason.
I thought we should just deny it because there's got to be some other solution other than vinyl siding anyway. Who wants to see vinyl? I mean, I know it's in the back, but vinyl siding is never the answer as far as I'm concerned.
I would make a motion to deny the application and then ask the property owner to work with staff and members of this commission to have somebody else take a look at the property for them.
I will second that.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Ron?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Justin?
Aye.
Alderman Steuer?
Aye.
And Susan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Certificate of appropriateness 20-15, consideration of possible action on a design review for a new shed located at 626 South Jackson Street. Jason?
Hang on, my packet doesn't have that as the next thing.
I think it's out of order from the agenda.
Yeah, ours just jumped around over here too, but that works because now I'm on it and it's set to current. So continue on with 2015, please.
Yep, just zipping ahead here.
Oh.
So house at 626, where are we? South Jackson?
South Jackson.
Yes, on the rear wing. This is a typical Queen Anne house with a cross form floor plan. And typical of the style back in the day, that rear wing is shorter than the front wing. And what the property owner would like to do is to basically put a full-length shed dormer on the back so that the second story of that rear wing can be used as usable living space. These sorts of changes were relatively common to these kind of houses over the years. It's a little bit of a surprise this one just never got it. That's fine. Staff notes that the wing is largely hidden from view, that it appears to be in keeping with the style of what you'd expect on a change to a house like this, and staff has recommended approval.
And the applicant is here if you have any questions for her.
Paul, I'm gonna have to go. I hate to say it, but I gotta go.
Yep, I understand you have duties elsewhere. I think we still have a quorum even with Mark's absence. Correct, Stephanie?
Yes.
Wish me luck. I'll see you.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Have fun.
Yeah.
So questions about 626 South Jackson?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I would make a motion to approve.
Question I had is if the homeowner intends to extend the band of colored siding around on the new addition.
That's why I wanted to know too, what that siding is going to be, if it's going to be tie in with what's existing.
So the siding will tie, I mean, it's going to be cedar siding, we'll paint it, so it'll match the color of the house. But I don't see us extending the wavy clapboard on that side. So it looks something, sorry about that window. It will be a full window on the peak here. The system issue, but so it would look like this. It would not have that decorative stuff on the side.
Just to interrupt too, I don't think it would be appropriate to have the wavy siding back there.
I would agree. I
Yeah.
think you want to terminate that on the original and stop it. And then where you have a modification, it is what it is. Yeah.
And we plan to match the soffit with, so it continues through to the house, to the wider soffits as well.
So in my packet on page 62, that wavy siding only goes to the south face of that elevation, doesn't return on the west side now. So that's different than what I'm looking at.
That's a picture of the opposite side of the building that
Oh,
shows.
okay. Yeah, because that area above the bird feeder that you have there doesn't have the wavy siding.
Ron, did you start to make a motion or did you just?
I did. I mean, based on Jason's recommendation and what I've read in the whole packet here, I mean, I would make a motion to approve. I personally, obviously we all know Cheryl, but I know that they'll keep within historical perspectives of the neighborhood. They've already done a bunch of stuff on their house that's kept with it. I mean,
I'm concerned about the homeowner's ability to secure a building permit, but I don't know, other than that, that's about the only difficulty I see.
You should be concerned about the homeowner trying to secure a contractor. We've had 3 say no.
So I think Ron made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Ron?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
And Justin?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Let's see, item number 5 is certificate of appropriateness 20-17, consideration with possible action on a design review for roof remodeling at 1040 South Van Buren Street. Jason?
If I could call your attention to the photograph on sheet 38 of your packet. That is a black and white photograph of this house taken in 1979 in preparation for the nomination for the National Register of Historic Places District nomination. And if you look atop the flat roof that's above the first floor, you'll see some brick piers with no railings, and that's great. And at some point after that, if you go to the next page, sheet 39, sheet 40, sheet 41, you'll see that railings and balusters were added. And on sheet 44, you'll see a fairly good detail of the railings and balusters that were added. And the request is to allow for re-roofing, which is fine. Reconstruction of these brick piers. They've sourced some similar combed faced brick that'll match what's going to be here. And then new railings and balusters, with the new railings and balusters shown on page or sheet 45 and 46. Staff is recommending approval because the current railings and balusters may or may not have been historic, probably weren't. The ones proposed as replacements are conveying the same feeling. And I saw that, Ian, was it you that provided some original builder's plans for this building? That those plans didn't really show a specific detail for the balusters. I think it just had the rectangular baluster goes here lines. So
we
circling
also
back.
have the applicants here, and I believe the property owner. So if there are any questions, I think they have some history on the property and also any details you might need about the construction.
Hi, we're the construction company working with the homeowner right now.
Looks like the brick that you've got is a pretty close match.
That was our whole plan, to just try and get as close and accurate to what was existing there as possible.
Looked like the blend is pretty good.
What Ian said, I took a look at that image and I was impressed, matching up the bricks as well as the railings. Appreciate the detail that comes with this application and the thoroughness. So I definitely am looking to approve this.
Are the existing balusters up there now, or are they gone?
They are gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were, Paul, they were dry rotted. So when we bought the home, it was, the previous owners decided to put what they did is they hired a guy to recreate the balusters, and they spaced them out inappropriately. So what we had lived with for about 17 years were balusters that were too far apart, and the bottom railing was just a 1x6. Top railing it was a two 1x6s sandwiched, and then there was a little bit of a cove just done with a rough saw cut. So it's pretty shitty actually, but so the current proposition is what is it, molded plastic basically that should last forever, but it'll be painted to match the house.
Yeah, I think it looks really very nice.
Yeah, I would say that this is an example, even though maybe the original design isn't known to anybody, this would be a good example of how to repair a historic home in a way that's sensitive to the neighborhood and the architecture of the house.
Yep.
In direct opposition to the property we looked at or discussed at length earlier tonight. So
Agreed.
I guess I would make a motion to go ahead and approve.
I would second that motion.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Ron?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Justin?
Yay.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice information with that one, as far as what they were doing or are doing.
Okay, I think we're on to item 6, which is certificate of appropriateness 20-18. Consideration for possible action on design review for sculpture installation at 112 North Adams Street.
So in your packet, there are 5 options, options A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, D, and E, all 5 of them. Let's see here. A, C, and D have no impact on the buildings. They have independent footings and the space in between the buildings, and just it amounts to yard art. Options B and E have some impact to the buildings. I think what we're looking for here is, of the 5, would you approve 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them? Which ones? And I've had dinner with one of the artists at his house, so that's where I'm at.
We have Laura from our department who's proposing this, and I believe Sally from downtown Green Bay is here to speak on this as well. I'm just pulling up some of the images to screen share out, so that we have them for the public as well. We just got a request for that.
I prefer one of the plans that doesn't involve connecting to or touching either of the adjoining or the neighboring properties.
I concur with that.
Okay, I just brought up the screen. If there are any ones we want to look at specifically, we can do that. Maybe.
Maybe
We're
Stephanie,
having a lot of technical difficulties here.
maybe we could just page through them as a full page.
Okay. Okay, so this is the location. If you're not familiar with it, this is 112 North Adams, and this is the county building. So it's in that little alleyway that's in between there. Here's option A.
This does not engage with the adjacent buildings, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Concept A is footed in the ground.
Here's option B.
This one does engage.
Yes.
Concept B does have a framework that they're proposing to attach to the side of the building. All of the artists were advised, ideally, to adhere into the ground, but if they did propose something that attached to the building, it was made clear that it needed to be mounted within the mortar and be made of materials that wouldn't stain or damage the bricks in any way.
Here's option C, obviously not connected. Option D. E. And then just a view of the area as it is now.
Could you go back one if that's the last of them? I'm not sure I understand what's going on in this last one.
Well, I will mention that with E, that does attach to one of the adjoining structures.
Option E is proposing essentially an outdoor art gallery. So a lot of their components are proposed to attach to the side of the building. I guess what I'm looking for is for these items that do attach, one, if that's even possible, and if not, if you guys would be open to, if you and the artists would be open to redeveloping the design so that it doesn't attach to the building, but still kind of has the same concepts.
From my position, is anything that is attaching to the buildings is unacceptable, or anything that obscures the buildings. And that even includes the rather bland brick wall to the viewer right, that county building.
To say the same thing, but a little differently, my concern with attaching to the building, I'm not even that concerned with what has been presented to us tonight. I just worry about setting precedent in the future with people attaching things to the side of their building and in the name of art. And so I guess I would prefer that we refrain from allowing people to do that. If it's freestanding, I just have a better feel for it. And I think it's past precedent of what's going on in the city with different things. I'm reminded of the butterflies from the Einstein Project and things that are sculptural that were just located around town, but didn't actually get hung off of the side of a building. So
I guess, what is our role in this?
So the designs themselves will be selected by our Public Arts Commission, so they're more in charge of the aesthetics, the approving of what it's going to look like. We want to be in charge of how it interacts with the buildings in our district. So if you guys want to approve the project as a concept and then condition it upon no structure being attached to the walls, we can do it that way. Or if you want to say that, you know, we can leave it up, it's really up to you guys. This is really just approval of the project and how any of these art pieces would attach into the buildings. That's what this application is for. Not necessarily the approval of any of the concepts that have been presented by the artists, because our Public Arts Commission will be doing that.
So this is a very similar recommendation as we made the last time that this came up, that it probably not attached to the adjacent buildings. I'm not sure what more we're asking. We're asked to provide feedback on. That's the feedback we gave last time, if I recall correctly.
Yes, that was just an informational item, so Laura could present that to the artists,
Okay.
give them a framework. So this is the actual application
Okay.
for this particular spot.
Okay. No, that
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
it should be nothing new for you guys, really.
Okay. I was looking for something new and I wasn't finding it.
Surprise, it's the same thing.
Well, I'll
I
make a motion that we approve
recommendation
this
from last
project
time.
as a concept. The provision that nothing be attached to either building.
Second.
any other discussion? Ian, you were saying something, I think.
Yeah, basically it's a repeat of last time, just making it from an informational to an active item or to a specific recommendation. So I don't think we want to do anything different than we did before.
Okay. Any other comments? Then I think we're on to a vote. Ron?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Justin?
Yay.
Motion carries unanimous. When would we expect to start seeing these things?
So we have to spend the money before November, so it will be going up, I mean, as quickly as the artist can develop it. So it'll be, the final piece will be selected at the Arts Commission meeting next week, Wednesday. And then from there, it's really gonna start rolling along. So ideally before the snow flies, which hopefully is way, way, way into the December.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're on to item F, which is the information staff certificate of appropriateness applications.
Number 20-09 was a roof. I think it was the roof over top of some dormers on a house at 403 to 405 Law. Number 20-10 was a deck at 927 South Monroe. 20-16 is another small section of roof on the back at 816 Shawano. They've come before the commission several times before. And 20-19 is a back porch railing on the back at 123 North, replacing one material with an identical material.
Okay. Next item F2 is city raise and repair orders and demolitions.
We had none.
Okay. Update.
Item F3, you can see on
Sorry,
page.
Jason?
Yes.
Sorry. Before we get into the discussion that we have on the agenda, I wanted to discuss our Zoom meetings quickly. So initially when we went virtual as a city, we had one meeting per time slot throughout the city, so that way we could all record in council chambers and it was way easier. Now they're going back to letting the departments schedule their own, and it's kind of chaos. It was a little stressful for the past week, and even today, trying to get this ready because there are about 4 meetings that happen on Mondays. So I am going to send her an email basically just asking you guys to let me know a different time that will work for you. Ideally, it wouldn't be on Mondays, or if there's an opportunity for afternoon meetings, now that we're virtual. I want to find something that works for all of us. 30 is kind of just chaos at this point, trying to make sure that there's enough equipment and rooms and things to record, and until the city can give us some better direction on how that's going to go, I would feel safer just moving this to a different time slot. So I wanted to just run that by you guys here, but then also let you know that if any of you are uncomfortable doing Zoom on your own, I mean, I think that our commission has it handled, but we have to present that if you guys need any help, so please let us know that we can get some equipment here. You know, if you needed to come in and use a tablet for any reason, you can do that. But I think that we've kind of got a handle on the Zoom meetings. We do them really effectively. Some of the other meetings are insane, and I feel ours go really smoothly. So I don't see any reason to change it. But I am going to be sending out an email to try to find, at least through the summer, a different time slot for us so we don't have as many issues here at City Hall. So just a heads up on that.
Stephanie, can't you just tell the mayor and the common council to move their meeting?
Yeah, really.
Would that be super nice of them? I thought that they should bow to us, but that's apparently not how that goes. I really hope they don't watch this recording, so I'm going to get in trouble.
I'm really flexible on the time.
Okay. Well, I'll just send something else, so that way we can just all kind of work together to find something that works for all of us. I'm really flexible with time, too. We have less meetings on Wednesdays and Thursdays at the city. Tuesdays are council and RDA. Today's Plan Commission, PNP, and a couple other standing meetings. So it's a big day here. So if we could just move the day or make this an afternoon meeting, that would be a little easier. So look out for an email from me on that. But I will let Jason take the floor now on all of our RFQ requests.
Hi. Sheet 83 in your packet. We have resumes, if you will, from 5 different organizations to conduct the intensive level survey in the city of Green Bay, or at least for the first year of the intensive level surveys in Green Bay. All of these 5 have been vetted, so to speak, by the State Historic Preservation Office. That is to say that somebody in each of these organizations meets the Secretary of the Interior's professional qualification standards for doing architectural history or something related to intensive level surveys. Ultimately, the Landmarks Commission or the city or somebody needs to make a decision and pick one. On page 83, the attachments you see are listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Mead and Hunt is number 1, Preserve LLC number 2, UW Milwaukee, one person named Cameron Eisenzimmer. Last one, Legacy Architecture. These are in no particular order. I don't know how Landmarks Commission would like to proceed. If you'd like to narrow the field down and interview, or invite them to a Zoom meeting, or just pick one. If you want to just pick one, I guess I would note that Legacy Architecture has come before this commission before on the Rockstro Bakery building. You may remember talking about the Rockstro Bakery building and some praise about the completeness of the package. It was good. Personally, when looking at these, my opinion is that number 4 is a person, not necessarily a team of people, and I don't know that that'd be interested in making an 8 or 9 year commitment to this project. Legacy Architecture is a team out of Sheboygan, I think. They're relatively close to Green Bay.
Yes, they're out of Sheboygan.
They're much closer than, say, Milwaukee, or one of these others is out in, and then the other one is close to Milwaukee. In my experience with city projects, you know, Mead and Hunt, they're a large organization. They're kind of a machine. That can be good and bad. I don't have any experience with Preserve LLC. UW Milwaukee is a large machine again. Legacy Architecture, I think they have the staff to do it. They're close by. They'll probably have a personal touch on it that we may not have in the others. But I should just stop talking and leave it to Landmarks Commission to decide how we should move forward. Ultimately, we need to pick one and tell the state that they're the one we pick and why. That's it.
When does that decision have to be made by?
Sooner the better. COVID has kind of messed everything up, so we got a friendly reminder from Joe DeRose at the State Historic Preservation Office to move it along and pick one. He sent that same email to a whole bunch of municipalities, though, so we're not alone in having yet to pick one for our projects.
I had read through everything, and my first pick is Legacy. My second pick is Mead and Hunt.
How does the group want to go ahead with this? Is everybody comfortable making a selection based on the information that we've been presented with? Or was there the possibility that you'd want to actually narrow the list down and talk to a short list of either 2 or 3 of the 5?
Yes, I have a question in terms of this. This talks well to their qualifications, but I'm not sure how it relates to the available funding and the scope of work that needs to be done.
I would ideally like to see us interview at least, I mean, even if we just pick one person that we really like and we have to interview them to make sure that they realize that the scope of work is 10 years long. You know, if we are only getting the bare minimum funding as grant through our CLG program and not funded through the city, this is going to be a long-term project, and we want to make sure that they are committed to that long-term. So aside from the, obviously, the logistical questions that we have, I don't know if there are any other questions specific to our community that we want to ask. But even if you guys wanted to move forward with one person, I'd still probably hold some sort of an interview to make sure that they understand the longevity of this process with us.
I did take a look at all of the qualifications, but not close enough to make any decisions. Frankly, I didn't think that was on us. So I do have this question. Does this commission have the authority to pick someone, or are we just providing a recommendation?
You guys can pick. This isn't a city-funded one, so we don't have to go through the RFP process. Since it's through the CLG, they do the request for qualifications for us. So it's between basically everyone who's on this call right now to make that decision. We don't have to take it anywhere else because it's not city-funded. So it's up to us.
Given that, I definitely would like to take a much closer look at all of the RFQs.
No, I agree. When I read this, it looked like, oh, we're supposed to look it over and give our input and recommendation who should be interviewed. I didn't have the impression that we were basically making the decision. But now that I know we have much more of an input, I agree that we should interview.
I guess from my review of these, and I just reviewed them, relatively at a relatively high level. It seems that some of these folks have worked in historic preservation, but aren't necessarily architects. I believe Legacy might be the only one that is truly an architectural firm.
No, I would disagree. I think you're wrong there, Ian.
Where are the others? All of the resumes, I don't see any registered folks in them.
Well, but okay, I think Mead and Hunt obviously has architects on staff.
Sure. But from the people that were in here, I couldn't see licensed architects being, that's my only. Not to say
First
what.
couple Mead and Hunt is like a degree in history and otherwise a degree in art history. So it's a good point, Ian.
You guys have got some insight into these folks that I don't, so I definitely want to take a closer look at what was presented there. The only insight I can provide is that Cameron Eisensimmer's last name translates to ice room from German. That's my contribution.
Well, I think that we should make a recommendation to interview at least one of the respondents. And I guess my question to the group is, do we want to try and get that accomplished as a separate meeting of this commission? I mean, I think there are several people that said they would like a little bit more time to review the responses that we have. And so are we going to allow ourselves a couple weeks to do that and then convene a special meeting to select a short list with then the intention of having interviews either as a part of or following our next commission meeting?
If we're going to have a full board discussion, it would have to be a posted public meeting. So we would hold a special meeting for that specifically versus our regular agenda meeting. If we wanted to do it where it doesn't have to be posted and we can just do interviews on our own, if you have them, then we could do it that way. But if we want all of us to be part of the discussion, then we'd have to do it as a public meeting, which I think is okay, but I just wanted to make you guys aware that that would have to be posted to the public.
Well, maybe I can help you guys out. I work with 3 of the 5 firms that submitted, so I'm not going to be a part of this process.
And I don't need weeks. I would need just a couple of days that.
I mean, I would need just a couple of days to go back over all the details again too. I wouldn't need weeks, that's for sure.
So do you want me, I could just set up like a Google form to have each of you pick your top 2, and then Jason and I can set up interviews with those 2 as a special meeting of the Landmarks Commission. Does that work?
Sure, works for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So do you need any other action out of us then, Stephanie?
Nope, that would be all I need for now. We don't need to take any action until we select somebody.
Okay. Any other staff items?
No.
No.
Hearing none, I think the date of our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, August 10th.
Yes. That may change. Actually, it will change for sure. I'll let you know.
If nothing else, I would ask that somebody make a motion to adjourn the longest meeting in the history of this commission.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.